If you walk through the city of Rome today, on this very day, September 17, 2025, you cannot miss it. Standing huge and broken but still magnificent is the Colosseum. It is more than just an old building. It is a symbol of Rome itself, a stony testament to an empire that once ruled a vast part of the known world. For centuries, this structure has dominated the landscape, first as a place of spectacular, often brutal entertainment, and now as a magnet for millions who come to gaze upon its ancient arches. The Colosseum is not just a landmark, it is a story written in stone, a place where the echoes of roaring crowds and clashing swords seem to hang in the air, a constant reminder of the power and complexity of ancient Roman civilization. Its very presence forces us to ask questions about the past and what it means to be civilized. The location of the Colosseum is no accident, it is deeply significant. It was built on the site of a former private lake, part of the extravagant Golden House, or Domus Aurea, of the much-hated Emperor Nero. After Nero's death and a chaotic year of civil war, a new dynasty, the Flavians, came to power. The first emperor of this new line, Vespasian, made a very clever political move. By draining the lake and building a massive public amphitheater for the people of Rome, he was symbolically giving the land back to the public. He was erasing the memory of a tyrant's private luxury and replacing it with a gift for all citizens, a place for shared spectacle and community, albeit a violent one. This structure's survival through earthquakes, fires, and centuries of neglect is a miracle in itself, making it not just a ruin but a survivor, a silent witness to nearly 2 millennia of history, from the bloody games to its current status as an icon of global heritage. The story of who built the Colosseum begins with the rise of a new imperial family, the Flavians. After the turbulent year 69 AD, known as the Year of the Four Emperors, a pragmatic and experienced general named Vespasian seized control of the Roman Empire. He was not from the old Roman aristocracy but was a down-to-earth soldier who understood the need to establish his family's legitimacy. To do this, he needed a grand project, something that would forever associate his name and his dynasty with the glory of Rome. His solution was the Flavian Amphitheater, a monument that would outshine anything built before it. The project was started under Vespasian around 70 to 72 AD, and it was a statement of stability and power after a period of intense civil unrest. The construction of such a colossal building required an immense amount of money and labor, resources that Vespasian cleverly acquired. The funding for the Colosseum came directly from the spoils of war. In 70 AD, Vespasian's son Titus captured the city of Jerusalem, ending the First Roman-Jewish War. The campaign was brutal. The treasures looted from the temple in Jerusalem and other parts of the city were brought back to Rome in a grand triumphal procession. This vast wealth, including gold, silver, precious artifacts, was used to finance the amphitheater's construction. In a very real sense, the Colosseum was built from the profits of conquest, a monument to Roman military might paid for by the subjugation of a distant province. The construction of the Colosseum was an extraordinary feat of Roman engineering, a showcase of practical skills and organizational genius that allowed Rome to build an empire. The workforce itself was massive, tens of thousands of individuals. Some sources sensationally claim it was built by enslaved Jewish prisoners from Judea, but the reality is more complex. It's highly probable many captives did unskilled manual labor, quarrying the stone, transporting it to the site. The project also required a vast army of professionals, engineers, architects, builders, artists, specialized craftsmen. From laying the foundations to carving decorative elements, it was a collaboration of forced labor and paid expertise. The materials used were a testament to Roman ingenuity and logistics. The primary stone was travertine, quarried in the hills near Tivoli, about 20 miles from Rome. Huge blocks of this stone were transported to the city, forming the main piers and the external facade. For other parts of the structure, the Romans used tuff, a lighter volcanic rock used for non-load-bearing walls. The real secret weapon, however, was Roman concrete. Volcanic ash, pozzolana, lime, rubble. It could be poured into molds, creating massive vaults and arches that supported the seating. This use of concrete was revolutionary, stronger, more flexible, and faster than relying purely on cut stone. The design was based on the simple but brilliant principle of the arch, repeated over and over again. The entire structure is a series of concentric rings of arches which supported the immense weight of the stone and the spectators while creating a system of corridors and staircases. These passages, known as vomitoria, were designed for efficient crowd control, allowing tens of thousands of spectators to enter, find their seats, and exit quickly and safely. In its glory days, the Colosseum was a breathtaking sight, a world away from the solemn ruin we see today. Imagine an enormous structure, not of bare, weathered stone, but covered in gleaming white travertine marble. The outer facade was a four-story marvel of classical architecture. The first 3 stories had 80 arches each, decorated with engaged columns, Doric, Ionic, Corinthian. The 4th story was a solid wall adorned with bronze shields with windows that illuminated the corridors. The grandeur wasn't limited to the exterior. Statues filled the arches of the 2nd and 3rd floors. Gods, heroes, celebrated figures of the empire. The whole building was like a massive open-air museum. It was a riot of color and decoration. Not the monochrome ruin we see now, painted in bright colors with gilded details that shimmered in the Mediterranean sun. One incredible feature was the velarium, a gigantic retractable awning for shade. The canopy was supported by a complex system, ropes, pulleys, masts fixed to the top of the stadium. A special detachment of sailors from the Roman navy stationed at Misenum operated this enormous contraption. On hot sunny days they unfurled the awning, casting the seating into cool shade, while leaving the arena open to the sky. Inside, the cavea mirrored Roman social hierarchy. The best seats near the front were reserved for the emperor, senators, vestal virgins. Those were wide marble tiers with plenty of legroom. Above them sat the equestrian class, wealthy businessmen. Higher up, social status dropped. Next sections, ordinary Roman citizens, the plebeians. At the very top, in the cheapest wooden seats with the worst views, sat the poor foreigners, women. A day at the games was a constant visual reminder of one's place in the Roman world. The events held inside the Colosseum were known as munera or gladiatorial games and venationes, which were animal hunts. They were the most popular form of entertainment in Rome. A typical day's program was a carefully orchestrated sequence of brutal spectacles. The morning would often begin with the animal hunts. Exotic beasts from the far corners of the empire were released into the arena. They were hunted by armed men called bestiarii. Sometimes the beasts were pitted against each other in bloody fights. These shows often used elaborate stage sets. Painted scenery of forests, hills, deserts was hoisted up from below the arena floor to create a theatrical backdrop. The midday period was reserved for public executions, damnatio ad bestias. Condemned prisoners were thrown to the wild animals, defenseless. Prisoners of war, runaway slaves, followers of outlawed religions like Christianity. Other executions reenacted myths, staged and gruesome. A criminal might be dressed as Icarus and thrown from a height, or forced into a costume and burned on a pyre like Hercules. The main event took place in the afternoon, the gladiatorial contests. Gladiators were typically slaves, prisoners of war, or condemned criminals, but some were free men who volunteered for fame and fortune. They were highly trained athletes, each with a fighting style and gear. The secutor, large shield and sword, the retiarius, net and trident. These were duels between skilled combatants, governed by rules and overseen by a referee. The crowd roared, betting on favorites and getting swept up in the drama. The climax was the moment of defeat. A wounded gladiator would raise a finger to appeal for mercy. The fate rested with the crowd and the emperor. The crowd would wave handkerchiefs for mercy, missio, or turn their thumbs, a debated gesture that could demand death. Athletic skill, blood, and life-or-death choices made the gladiatorial games intoxicating and wildly popular for Romans. The use of animals was a central and shockingly extravagant part of the Colosseum's spectacles. Inside, roaring crowds. The Roman Empire's vast reach meant it could procure exotic creatures from Africa, Asia, and Northern Europe. These animal hunts, or venationes, showed Rome's dominion over nature. Romans could see animals they'd only heard of: lions, tigers, leopards, bears, elephants, rhinoceroses, hippos, crocodiles, ostriches. These creatures were captured in massive, expensive expeditions, shipped across the Mediterranean on complex logistics. The sheer cost and effort were staggering. The animals were kept beneath the arena in the hypogeum, a labyrinthine engineering marvel. Two-story cages, corridors, mechanical elevators, winches, ropes, and counterweights raised cages through trapdoors. Sudden entrances, a lion or a bear appears on the sand. The hypogeum made the arena a dynamic stage. The scale of the animal slaughter was immense, almost beyond our modern comprehension. Ancient accounts speak of thousands killed, During the inauguration under Titus, over 9,000 animals in 100 days. During Trajan's games, around 11,000 animals. This demand drove species like the North African elephant and the lions of Mesopotamia toward extinction. These spectacles were entertainment and a show of Roman power, thrilling tests of courage, gladiator versus beast, symbols of imperial domination. Every dead lion or elephant on the sand was proof. Nothing could stand against Rome. It was a spectacle of domination, pure and simple. The Colosseum was built for the people of Rome, and on games days, it was filled with a diverse cross-section of the city's population, which numbered close to 1 million people at its peak. Attendance at the games was free for all citizens, funded by the emperor or wealthy aristocrats as a form of public patronage. This was the circuses part of the famous phrase bread and circuses, panem et circenses, a term coined by the poet Juvenal to criticize the way Roman leaders kept the populace content and distracted with free food and lavish entertainment. The desire to attend was about more than just free entertainment. It was a central part of Roman social life. A day at the games was an opportunity to see and be seen, to participate in a massive communal event. It was a chance to escape the grime and crowding of everyday life in the city and be part of something grand and exciting. The crowd was an active participant, not a passive observer. They roared for their favorite gladiators, gambled on the outcomes, and even played a role in deciding the fate of the defeated. The shared experience of excitement, fear, and bloodlust created a powerful bond among the spectators and a sense of collective identity. The popularity of the games was also fueled by a celebrity culture that grew up around the most successful gladiators. Much like modern sports stars, famous gladiators had fan followings and their names were household words. Graffiti found on the walls of Pompeii praises certain fighters, and their images appeared on lamps, mosaics, and other everyday objects. Despite their low social status as slaves or criminals, skilled gladiators could win fame, fortune, and even their freedom. Ultimately, people came to the Colosseum because it was a spectacle that affirmed their sense of what it meant to be Roman, showcasing values of courage, discipline, and a contempt for death, while reinforcing the empire's global reach and social hierarchy. Today, the Colosseum is arguably the most recognizable symbol of the Roman Empire and one of the most famous landmarks in the world. Its fame rests on its incredible state of preservation and its sheer scale. Even as a ruin, its size is awe-inspiring, a tangible link to the power and ambition of ancient Rome. It is the largest ancient amphitheater ever built, and its survival for nearly 2,000 years is a testament to the genius of Roman engineering. When people think of Rome, they almost inevitably picture the Colosseum's iconic arched silhouette. It has become a piece of global cultural heritage, a bucket list destination for millions of tourists who flock to Rome each year to walk in the footsteps of emperors and gladiators. The Colosseum captivates us because it represents a fascinating and disturbing duality. It is simultaneously a marvel of architectural beauty and a monument to organized brutality. This contradiction forces us to confront the complexities of the Roman world and indeed, of human nature itself. We admire the Romans for their laws, their aqueducts, and their art, but the Colosseum reminds us that their society was also built on slavery, conquest, and a chillingly casual acceptance of public bloodshed. It challenges our own modern notions of entertainment and justice, making us question how different we truly are. The building is not just a pile of old stones, it is a profound moral and historical puzzle. In the modern era, the Colosseum has also taken on a new role as a symbol against violence. Since 2000, it has become a monument associated with the international campaign against the death penalty. The local authorities in Rome changed the color of the monument's nighttime illumination from white to gold whenever a death sentence is commuted anywhere in the world or when a jurisdiction abolishes capital punishment. This has transformed the ancient arena of death into a global beacon for life. This powerful symbolic reversal, turning a place of execution into a protest against it, adds another fascinating layer to the Colosseum's long and complex history, ensuring its relevance in the 21st century. Ultimately, the Colosseum endures because it tells a powerful story. It is the story of an empire's rise and fall, of engineering genius and brutal spectacle, of faith, power, and the long passage of time. It allows us to connect with a distant past in a very direct and physical way. Its ability to inspire awe, Horror and wonder in equal measure is the secret to its undying fame and its unshakable place in the human imagination.